when I first picked up the camera, I was like, I love we've been talking about this a lot lately, about the process, right? The process of becoming. I'm like, I want to be this.
Welcome to the Project My Life podcast from Monetti Productions.
What's up, guys? We're back with another Project My Life podcast. Finish What You Started series. I feel like it's been a while since we were in this room. Karen, are you excited?
Sure am.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
Are you as excited as I am?
Probably not.
You know, this episode is interesting. It's all about pro versus amateur. What does it mean to be a pro versus what does it mean to be an amateur? And we're gonna dive deep, and I'm gonna tell you some personal stuff. And I'm gonna lob it up, and Karen's gonna knock it out of the park. That's what she told me before the podcast. Is that true,
I did
Karen?
not say I'm going to knock it out of the
You
park.
did. You said just lob it up, and I'll take it from there.
I said I'll figure it out.
Well, AKA knock it out of the park. You're the meat and potatoes, Karen. Okay. I'm just like, the ketchup.
Okay. If anybody puts ketchup on their meat.
No?
No.
You don't put ketchup on a burger?
Yeah, but not on steak. I'm thinking steak. Like a good steak and potato.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so pro versus amateur. It started, me and my buddy Jim, we take a hike every Saturday morning. Headlamps, 5 o'clock in the morning, we go out there and just kind of walk and talk. It's not too challenging of a hike, but heart rate is definitely elevated. But long story short, we're just in the woods. We just talk bro stuff, life stuff. We solve all the world's problems during that 3.5 mile hike every Saturday morning. And there's always a theme or a topic that we talk about. And recently it came up again about what does it mean to be a pro? What does it mean to be an amateur? And it was like 19 degrees. We're tired. By the time Saturday comes around, like, I don't want to really get out of bed. I want to just chill out and snuggle next to you because I'm madly in love with you after 18 years.
19.
19. See, I've lost track of time. But I don't even want to get out of bed. But it's so important for us to do that Saturday walk and talk. Mentally, not so much physically, but mostly mentally and even emotionally. I mean, we've cried. We've stopped during our hug and just bro hugged it out and just had some emotional moments. But anyway, he was like, I didn't want to get out of bed this morning. I said, nah, either did I. He said, that's the difference between being a pro and an amateur. So the conversation became like this lengthy, kind of in-depth conversation. And we narrowed it all down. Do you know what the theme of it is? Hopefully by now.
I do.
All right, what is it?
Well, you told me.
I lobbed it up.
It's resistance.
Resisting. So the difference, it's not just about making money, right? You think about what's a pro athlete versus an amateur athlete, right? Pro athlete gets paid to do that, and an amateur is just doing it as a hobby, right? But what we were talking about is like, it's very easy to lay in bed. The resistance at that point was like, it's cold outside, we're tired. We could have easily used that as an excuse to not get out of bed. But once we did it, we were so much happier. So we were talking about the resistance factor and why things in my life, or in anybody's life, mostly, but things that I find to be a challenge, and do I use the resistance as a reason to get stronger? Or do I use that resistance as an excuse to not do the thing that I know that I need to do to get to the place I need to be or want to be? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can you relate to any of that?
Sure can.
You want to share some things?
Let me think about it.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop talking and we're going to wait for you. All eyes on you.
No. Of course you can. I mean, I see it.
If you want to hold that thought, if you want to keep going.
I'll hold the thought. Go ahead, Monetti.
And this is what I was saying about before we started recording. Before, 2 nights ago, was it? No, 2 nights ago.
I don't know what
we don't have many arguments or disagreements anymore, right? But what was it the other night that was we were heated up about? You were heated up about.
I was so mad at you.
Yeah. So I have a no phone rule in bed policy, right?
Uh-huh.
And I don't like to turn the phone on. I just set my alarm and I put it to the side. Karen likes to play her game, and you've been doing really well with that.
I'm fasting from it.
Right. So I put the phone down, and I was laying there, and I was in my head. So I picked the phone up and I started doing some research. Karen, what are you doing? There's no phones in bed. That's our rule. What are you doing? And she kept on me, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I was like, I'm looking up something. What are you looking up? And I was like, what are you looking up? I said, I'm looking up imposter syndrome. what do you mean? Why are you looking up that? So Karen was the 4-year-old kid asking the whys. Why? So I was like, I feel like an imposter sometimes. I just feel like I'm not doing the things that I should be doing to get to where I want to be. And I feel like at the end of the day, 90% of the time lately, and I'm in my head, but I'm just like, why aren't I feeling like I'm making progress? I just feel like I'm an imposter. And I'm looking at what does it mean to be an imposter? And it was like not a current or a recent thing. This has been going on. There's science or some professor many years ago. Like, I didn't realize how long it's been going on. Describe this thing, this emotion, this state of being like and feeling like you're an imposter, feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like you're not worthy. And there's some things that, like, when you feel like that, you counteract with either overworking or being underworking, or just, feeling depressed, feeling like lack of self-worth. I don't know what it is, but you would think by now that being a fitness professional for more than 3 decades, that I would feel like a pro, or at least not feel like an imposter, right? So that's my thought. Now go ahead.
What am I supposed to go ahead on?
You said you were going to...
The fact I was so mad at you, and it wasn't because he was on the phone. I was mad because he doubts himself so much. And to me, that's a resistance you have that you need to, there's your pro versus amateur right there. You're resistant to it. So you you turtle up, and then you stop all avenues of media and putting yourself out there.
Do you remember exactly? Do you remember how the conversation led to?
I was so mad. I don't remember.
Yeah. I did. I
was really mad.
I did lean over and give you a kiss and say I love you, because I don't like to go to bed mad.
That's true.
And you were like, I love you too. Love you too.
Because I get so frustrated because you doubt yourself, and I don't doubt you. I know you're very capable, but you're always in your own head, and you always put that wall up, and you just slam into it all the time instead of trying to figure out how to get around it.
What I was feeling like an imposter with is, and you're like, stop looking in the past. And I almost felt like,
yes.
you're like, stop living there. And that was 20 years ago. And I'll be honest with you.
Oh, I forgot I said that.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I remember it all. I was going to put in my bio this morning. I'm like, I should just put in my bio the first vlogger. And my first vlog was on MTV in 2003. And I don't want to, that. I can't live there. If I want to be who I want, if I want to level up and grow, I can't be living back there. But I get stuck back there because I'm like, I don't want to curse.
Dang it.
Dang it. But why aren't I seeing the things that I envisioned for me at age 45? Like when and I always talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it again. When I first picked up the camera, I was like, we've been talking about this a lot lately, about the process, right? The process of becoming. I'm like, I want to be this. I want my own radio show. Ironically, now we can do that very easily, right? I want my own TV show. Ironically, we can do that very easily now with YouTube. I want to be here. I want my own business. I want my own fitness studio. I had all these things in my head, and I wanted to be this person, right? And then seeing all these vloggers, or now YouTubers, and all these people who are like, I look at them as being like they made it. I'm like, damn. I look at my followers and I look at the things that I'm doing. I'm like, it's not there's something's not lining up. What did I miss? It's because for some reason after the MTV thing, I think overconfident. And I was like, if I would have kept up with doing the documenting and the process of me becoming these things, I love that, because I loved more of the journey to get there than I actually loved being there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So
but you did keep documenting the whole time. You just didn't do anything with the documentation.
Well, why? Because I had a resistance of maybe expectations, the expectations of, I don't know. I can dive deep into it, and I can go on a tangent right now, but I don't know what it is. I think, not expectations. I would say fear of judgment, maybe. Criticizing. For somewhere along the line, somebody told me that I was too self-absorbed or too arrogant or something like that. Like, who do you think you are, bro? Like, when I did that thing before MTV and I was in the street and, with my shirt off in Times Square, my man Joey will insert a little clip here of me dancing in the streets in New York City in 2002, yeah. I came home and I rented a limo, and I had these, we came back to the house and my mom made food because they didn't know what I was doing. My uncle was there, my brother was there, and we were talking about the day and how crazy it was. my uncle's like, dude, but what did you think was gonna happen? Like MTV was just gonna like shut down Broadway, and they were just gonna like escort you up, and that was gonna be you were gonna sign a contract to be whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's
It's a great imagination.
I mean, but it got me somewhere, but it
Sure
didn't get
did.
me to where I wanted to be. So the expectations, I mean, I felt a little bit let down. And then once I was on MTV, I felt like I made it. So I didn't keep growing, and I didn't keep doing the things that got me to where I was at. I'm rambling right now. I
Yeah,
feel
what
like.
does this have to do with resistance? I'm just going to try to pull it back in right now.
Because the
for a minute.
resistance I felt, I'm trying to figure out what it is. And you're my psychiatrist right now. So
Okay.
so step up. You said lob it up and I'll knock it out of the park.
I did not say
So
that.
let's knock it out of the park. Tell me what my resistance is publicly, on air, on radio. What do you feel it is?
I have a couple theories.
Go for it. Let's chat. Come on. I got
think
time.
I don't have too much time, but
Come
I
on,
think
go.
one of your resistances is that you're just always living in the past of what I should have done, what I could have done, what I didn't do, instead of just saying, that is what it is, move on. And what can I correct in that? I think another resistance you have is comparison to others, because you look at all these young kids now, and I say young kids because they're like 18, 19, 20s, you know, like with millions of followers, you know, and they're now what we call influencers, right? And I think you look there and you always live in this comparison lifestyle. So you live in the past, then you start comparing yourself, and then you beat yourself up and you think that you're not worth it anymore. And you know, that relates a lot to clients we work with too, right? I'm going to always bring it back to like what we
Good.
do.
No, it's because
But
it's
that
relatable.
relates to clients all the time. I have these conversations with them all the time, because it's like, well, when I was 20, I ate this and I just looked like this. I'm like, you ain't 20 anymore. Like, you can't live there. You have to learn to do things differently according to like where you are in life, whether that's where you are financially, spiritually, relationship wise, career wise, even age, body, like there's so much that goes into it. So you can't live with what you used to do. And that's also being amateur. It's always saying, well, I used to do that. But professionals learn from those things, and professionals learn how to get around those, or say, wow, that time I tripped up. What can I do next time this situation happens? And it's a constant learning process. So that's my spiel with that.
No, that's that's bell ringer right there. You're spot on. And if I have a client right now in front of me telling me the same exact thing, that's exactly what I would tell them.
Sure.
I just had a conversation this morning with someone talking about the same exact thing, who was, trying to figure out their nutrition and their fitness, and try to, factor in what they have to do for the week. And I'm like, keep it as simple as possible, bro. Let's just make this like a routine, and then we can build upon it.
Yeah.
But then when I try to do this stuff, I get like all in my head, and I get all over the place.
Well, I think there's also a fear of actually succeeding, right? Because if you really think about it, and this can get deep right now, if you succeed, what else will you then have to chase? The chase will be over, right? So there's something keeping you there saying, well, if I never succeed, I can always stay in this perpetual state of chase. And it's like an adrenaline kick, because it's like, ooh, on, and then rah, and then on, and then ooh. So it's this constant, like, I have to keep chasing, because if I get there, then what? What happens when I'm there? What's life going to look like? What am I going to feel like? Am I going to have that empty feeling? I'll give you an example. When I was training for all my competitions and I won the world, there was a big letdown after that. Like, I was on top of the world. Literally, I won a world competition. I was like, I can't get any better than this in this organization. It was the greatest feeling. And then the next day I was like, now what?
Yeah, no,
I got nothing to go for anymore. I got nothing to chase anymore. Womp, 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 Instead of saying, what else can I do now? I've gotten this achievement. How can I make it better? How can I do something different? Can I take this and do something else with it? Open up my hobbies, or opportunities or something. So I think that's a lot of it too. It's like, well, what happens if I get there? And when I get there, the chase is gone.
Dude, you're absolutely right. And I talk about the pursuit is more exciting for me than the actual goal itself.
There you go.
So,
you just talk yourself out of it every time.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. So what's the solution? How
The solution is enjoy the process, but enjoy the success of the process too. And when you get there, actually, before you even get to that point, start planning your next move. And I say this with clients all the time.
Doesn't that bring anxiety
too.
though? Like, don't
It doesn't
you feel
have
overwhelmed?
to. It can, but if you write it down, you don't have to stare at it every day, but be like, cool, goal number 1, goal number 2, goal number 3, goal number 4. And you keep like just setting these little things, because there's 2 things. If you look at the big picture, sometimes we get overwhelmed and then we get resistance and we stop and then we make excuses and then we don't want to ever like continue, right? So looking too ahead is really not good, I guess. But then also setting goals that are too small also let you down, because you're like, oh, I got there and I'm good now. I don't have to do anything else. So I think setting small goals all throughout, like maybe your goal is, I don't know, X amount of followers, which I think is dumb to put a goal on. But anyway, you get my drift. Like, and then when you get there, like have a plan out. Okay, when I get to these many followers, I'm going to start doing this. And then when I get here, but not like stare at it every day where you're feeling overwhelmed by looking at step number 10. You're only focused on step number 1, even though 10 is outlined already. That's what I tell my clients.
Can't drop the mic. I'll drop my pen. No, you're spot on with that. And when when you're saying it, I'm like, right? Like it makes so much sense.
That's because you're living in it, so you don't see that.
And I don't think I set little goals.
You don't.
I just set this.
You never do.
I just set this major goal, and I have these pipe dreams, and I feel like this is where I want to be. And I'll be honest with you, it's not so much. Yes, it's for me anymore, but I feel like as a man, we talked about this the other night with the men's group. I feel like I need to be providing and I need to be here, that I could, allow you to not have to work, or you can just wake up and do
awesome.
Right. No, but I feel
just
that
saying.
So then I get a little bit like,
oh, don't
anxious.
feel pressure. I hope I'm not giving you any of that pressure, because I don't expect that.
Karen, you put so much damn pressure on me. And you call me a worthless.
Don't ever.
I'm only
that
kidding.
is, guys, that is not true.
No, I'm lying completely.
That is all
out of my
coming
ass
from
right
your
now.
own brain.
Definitely not. No,
I don't ever put the pressure on you in that
It's
way.
self-inflicted. You don't have to. You don't have to, because, as a not typical, I shouldn't even say typical. I'm going to speak for myself.
Yes.
For me as a man, I feel like that's been my job. And do you remember we talked about off record before, one of the things I said to you before we start getting married, before we start dating, I said, you're going to walk out of here one night with a goodnight kiss and your life's never going to be the same. Right. And then do you remember what else I said to you?
What else?
When we had like a pseudo date.
Oh,
sort of?
yeah. About the red carpet.
What did I say? This is when I was 24 years old, by the way. What did I say?
I don't remember exactly.
I said, well, we were sort of dating, and we walked out, and you instantly
I grabbed your arm.
You grabbed my arm and melted my heart. And I was like, wow, this chick is really like for me. And I was like, if you play your cards right, we'll be walking down the red carpet one day.
You did say that.
I
got to buy a red carpet runner and just walk down it with you. And there we go.
I was boss back then. And now I feel like as I get older, I have like less.
You got softer.
But why?
Maybe because you want more security now and you don't have that drive because there's more at risk.
I guess. All right, next episode, we're talking about taking risks, guys. To wrap this all up, being a pro versus being an amateur, it comes down to resistance. And that's pretty much a brain dump right now for this episode, talking about how you could become a pro, even if you don't want to be. Doing the things because you need to do them, and doing the things because that's who they are, instead of avoiding the things because you're afraid of succeeding, maybe.
Yeah, and again, I'm just going to
go for it.
Say something. Being a pro doesn't mean in a professional sport. You don't have to relate that mentality and be like, oh, I'm going to get on a stage or I'm going to do this. Like, that's not what we mean. We mean in action, right? Like being an amateur with your fitness and your nutrition is like saying like, I got stuck at work, resistant. So I'm just going to order DoorDash because I don't have my meal, or I didn't meal plan. Like, that's resistant. Where if you were more of a professional mindset, you'd be like, well, I got stuck at work. I can't get home to the meal that I wanted to eat. So where can I order from around here that is a healthier option? Not just like, I'm going to go order some burritos, or pizza or something. So the professional is the mindset and it's the actions. It doesn't always mean there's a title associated with it.
For sure. Because people hear that and they may think like, well, I don't want to be a pro.
Yeah. But you do want to be a pro at like your own game of like your own health. Like, right. You want to be a professional in that aspect. So, I would hope you'd want to be. I'm not saying you have to be, but I would hope you want to be, especially if you already started this journey.
Well, it's a matter of being, using it as a hobby or you taking it seriously, basically, right? Is it a hobby? Are you dabbling in health and fitness and changing and transforming, or you really want to make this, make this serious?
Yeah.
A serious commitment.
So don't let resistance stop you. Let it
propel
you.
Huh?
Yeah, and inspire you, and learn to make those changes you need.
Boom. Guys, believe in yourself, trust the process, practice patience. Thank you for listening and watching. If you got through all of that, you can also follow us.
Take a nap.
Yeah, take a nap. You can also follow us on all socials at Anthony Monetti, Monetti, and
at Karen_Monetti.
Boom.
Yep.
Peace. See you in the next
Toodaloo.
one.
Thanks for listening. For more information, visit our website at thisisbody.com. That's thisisbodhi.com.